What if I told you that the reason you're stressed about money is not because you have debt, but because you have the wrong type of debt? Most people believe all debt is bad, but millionaires, corporations, real estate investors, they use debt to get richer. So why does debt destroy some people and build wealth for others? Today, I'm going to show you the difference between good debt and bad debt, and more importantly, how to know which one you're trapped in right now, because one type builds your future, the other quietly destroys it. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which side you're on. Section 1, the lie about debt. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. Debt itself isn't the problem. Bad strategy is. You were probably told growing up, never borrow money. Debt is dangerous. Stay away from credit. But if debt was always bad, why does the government operate on debt? Why do major corporations expand using debt? Why do real estate investors leverage debt? Because debt is a tool, and tools can either build a house or break a window. Here's the question most people never ask. Does this debt put money into my pocket or take money out every month? Keep that in mind, because that's where the real distinction begins. But before we define good debt, let's talk about the silent killer. Section 2, bad debt. Bad debt is simple. It makes you poorer over time. It finances consumption, not assets. Car loans on depreciating vehicles, credit card debt for lifestyle spending, buy now, pay later for things you don't need. Here's the dangerous part. Bad debt feels good at first. You get the car, the vacation, the new phone, but the payments stay long after the dopamine fades. And here's where it gets worse. Bad debt compounds against you. High interest rates, minimum payments, delayed investing. If you're paying 22% interest on credit cards, you are mathematically working for the bank. But here's something most people don't realize. Bad debt doesn't just cost interest. It steals opportunity. Every dollar going to consumer debt is a dollar not going into investments. And that hidden cost over 10 years, that's where wealth disappears. But here's the twist. Not all debt that looks bad actually is, and this is where most people get confused. Section 3, good debt. Good debt does one thing. It increases your future income or net worth. It buys assets. It generates cash flow. It appreciates over time. Examples: real estate that produces rental income, business loans that expand operations, education that significantly increases earning power. But here's the nuance no one talks about. Good debt is only good if the return exceeds the cost. If you borrow at 6% but your investment earns 12%, that spread builds wealth. But if you borrow for a degree that doesn't increase income, that good debt becomes bad debt. So the label isn't what matters, the math does. And here's the powerful mindset shift. Wealthy people ask, how can I use debt to control assets? Poor people ask, how can I avoid debt completely? One uses leverage, the other fears it. But wait, there's a third category no one talks about. Section 4, neutral debt. Some debt is neutral, necessary, strategic, temporary. Example, a low-interest car loan that allows you to keep cash invested, or a 0% financing offer that you can pay off before interest hits. In these cases, debt is not the enemy. Mismanagement is. The problem is not borrowing. The problem is borrowing without a plan. And here's the key question you should ask before taking on any debt. Does this decision increase my long-term financial freedom or reduce it? If it increases cash flow, assets, or earning power, it may be good debt. If it increases liabilities without return, it's bad debt. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. Section 5, how bad debt sneaks in. Bad debt rarely feels irresponsible in the moment. It feels justified. I deserve this. I'll pay it off later. It's just one purchase. But financial stress isn't caused by one big mistake. It's caused by repeated small decisions, lifestyle inflation, emotional spending, financing status. And the most dangerous phrase in personal finance? Monthly payments, because payments make expensive things look affordable, and that illusion keeps people trapped for years. Now here's the important part. Even if you currently have bad debt, you're not stuck. Section 6, how to transform your debt. Here's the strategy. 1, eliminate high-interest consumer debt first. 2, build cash reserves. 3, then use debt strategically for assets. Debt should be a lever, not a leash. When used correctly, it accelerates wealth. When used emotionally, it delays freedom. And the difference isn't income, it's discipline and financial literacy. Section 7, the interest rate illusion. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If someone offered you a guaranteed 18% return on your money, would you take it? Of course. Then why do people ignore 18% credit card debt? Because paying off debt doesn't feel like investing. But mathematically, eliminating high-interest debt is a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate. If your card charges 22%, paying it off is like earning 22% risk-free. There is no investment that reliably does that. So before you think about stocks, crypto, real estate, ask yourself, are you financing the bank at 20%? Because if you are, you're playing offense with ankle weights. But here's where people make the next mistake. Section 8. When low interest becomes dangerous, it's only 3%. It's low interest. It's basically free money. Maybe. But low interest becomes dangerous when it multiplies your obligations. You can drown in cheap debt. 3 small loans, 2 credit lines, 1 financing plan, individually harmless, collectively suffocating. The real danger isn't the rate. It's reduced flexibility, because when income drops, obligations stay. And financial freedom is not about interest rates, it's about breathing room, which brings us to something powerful. Section 9, leverage. The wealth multiplier debt becomes powerful when paired with assets. This is called leverage. If you buy a $300,000 property with $60,000 down and it appreciates 10%, you didn't make 10% on your money, you made 50%. That's leverage. It magnifies gains. But here's the part influencers skip. It also magnifies losses. If that same property drops 10%, your equity takes a massive hit. So leverage is neutral. It amplifies whatever you attach it to. Skill, it multiplies it. Ignorance, it multiplies that too, which leads to the most misunderstood debt of all. Section 10, student loans, good or bad. People argue about this constantly. Education is always good debt, not always. A medical degree with high earning potential, likely good debt. A $120,000 degree with low market demand, financial trap. The key variable isn't education, it's income outcome. Debt should be evaluated based on return on investment, career stability, market demand. Debt without projected cash flow is speculation, and speculation financed with loans, that's risk stacked on risk. But here's something even more dangerous. Section 11, lifestyle leverage. Some people don't use debt to buy assets, they use it to buy status. Luxury cars, designer brands, high-end apartments. It feels like success, but it's leveraged consumption, and leveraged consumption creates pressure. Pressure to earn more, pressure to maintain image, pressure to keep spending. That pressure leads to burnout, and burnout destroys income. True wealth is quiet, debt-funded lifestyle is loud. But what if you already made these mistakes? Section 12, the debt snowball versus debt avalanche. There are 2 popular strategies. Snowball, pay smallest balances first. Avalanche, pay highest interest first. Avalanche wins mathematically, snowball wins psychologically, and psychology wins long-term. Because debt payoff isn't math alone, it's behavior. Choose the method that keeps you consistent, because consistency kills debt. But paying debt is only half the game. The real power comes after. Section 13, after debt. What most people do wrong. Here's the trap. People finally become debt-free, then upgrade their lifestyle. Bigger house, new car, more spending. Freedom turns into new payments. Instead of redirecting cash flow into assets, they recreate liabilities. Debt freedom should create margin. Margin creates investment capacity. Investment capacity creates wealth. But there's one last truth about debt nobody wants to hear. Section 14, risk tolerance and personality. Debt affects people differently. Some sleep fine with leverage, others feel constant stress, and stress affects decisions. If debt makes you anxious, it might not be bad financially, but it's bad psychologically. Wealth is not only numbers, it's peace, and financial strategy must match personality, because the best plan on paper fails if you can't execute it emotionally, which leads to the final distinction. Section 15, control vs. controlled. Here's the ultimate test. Are you using debt or is debt using you? If it increases assets, cash flow, and opportunity, you're in control. If it limits choices, creates stress, and funds consumption, it controls you. Debt is not moral, it's mechanical. And in the hands of someone disciplined, it builds empires. In the hands of someone impulsive, it builds prisons. So now you know, debt isn't the enemy. Misused debt is. Good debt builds assets, bad debt builds obligations, and the difference, intent, math, discipline. The real question is, if you looked at your current debts right now, which category would they fall into? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Because understanding debt is step one. Next, you need to understand how to build assets without overexposing yourself to risk. And that's exactly what we're breaking down in the next video. Subscribe, because that one might save you years of financial stress.